All right. Welcome, everybody, to the 6 p.m. City Council meeting. All council members are present, and we'll begin our meeting with a Pledge of Allegiance. And Vice Chair White, if you'll lead us in that.
Please rise if you are able. Repeat after me. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll observe a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Do we have any acknowledgements from the council?
I have one, Mr. Chair. Weber State just had their graduation ceremony last week on Friday, and it was amazing just to see the new graduates that are starting a new chapter in their lives and finishing their education. I just want to recognize Weber State and say congratulations to the new graduates that have just finished their education there.
Great, thank you. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay. Nope. All right, we have first up on the agenda a few recognitions. First, we'll go Councilman Myers. We'll have read the first one for Brenda Kowalowski.
Thanks very much. The Ogden City Council and Mayor proudly recognized Brenda Kowalowski for providing invaluable contributions to the Ogden community. Brenda Kowalowski was recently honored with the 2024 Barbara A. Holland Scholar Administrator Award by the Coalition of Urban Metropolitan Universities. This prestigious distinction recognizes remarkable contributions to higher education and community engagement. As Vice Provost of High Impact Educational Experiences, Faculty Excellence, International and Graduate Studies at Weber State University, she has been instrumental in advancing the university's engagement efforts. Brenda co-founded the Office of Community Development, established the nationally recognized Center for Community Engagement Learning, and created the Ogden Civic Action Network. She also oversees Weber State University's application process for the Carnegie Foundation Community Engagement Classification, and has played a pivotal role in the College Town Coalition Partnership, which has strengthened the community ties for over a decade. Her dedication to civic engagement earned her the New York Life Higher Education Civic Engagement Award in 2015, and recognition as a finalist for the Thomas Ulrich Civically Engaged Faculty Award in 2013. We are grateful for Brenda's exemplary service both to Weber State University and to the Ogden community. Her leadership and steadfast commitment to continue to foster meaningful connections that leave a lasting impact. Presented on this day, the 17th day of December, 2024. Signed by Ken Ritchie, Council Chair, and Benjamin K. Nadolski, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Brenda, do you want to come up and we'll present you this? Slide down for a picture.
Of course. This is really about your work.
Yeah, this is my window right here. Take a photo, get everybody in here.
Julie and Bryce, could you please join me?
can send you a picture.
Somebody else can take a picture. Debbie, someone else can. Yeah, someone else can.
Very talented. I can take all.
I got you. I got you. No problem.
I got two thumbs.
All right. Everybody looking here. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
My turn.
We'll do it again.
I
Put 'em up
got
here.
two thumbs. There we go. My coup today.
Thank you. May I send,
Oh, okay, yeah.
send that with friends? I did bring a few things to say. First, let me just say thank you so much for this recognition. Phew. To receive this award from the academic community that I grew up in, professionally grew up in, has really been very humbling. But tonight, to receive this recognition from the leadership of this city that I have absolutely loved working in, living in, playing in, and partnering with community in is just overwhelming, to be perfectly honest with you. So thank you so much for this recognition. I want to say that I think the best part about this recognition is it's the opportunity to shine a light on the work that we do in this community with and for our residents in Ogden. And that work doesn't happen alone. It happens with all of you, and it happens with this reluctant crew and many others. I say reluctant only because they were reluctant to get a picture. They're never reluctant to do the work in the community. And represented in this crew are faculty from Weber State University, staff from Weber State, administrators, and our community partners that we could not do this work without. It has been an absolute pleasure to work with not only this small group that's representing our community, but this entire network in the city of Ogden and surrounding area. Partnership comes in lots of forms. My reluctant spouse to get into the picture. He was reluctant to get into the picture, not reluctant to be my spouse. Most of the time. Partnership comes in many forms, and I wouldn't really be given the latitude or the energy or the support to do any of the work with this amazing network without him. So I thank John for his support as well. I'll just say that the opportunity to engage in community work with this group of really passionate colleagues from both campus and community has truly been one of the greatest honors of my life. And so I just want to thank all of you for the honor, for the recognition, for shining a light on community work that gets done by many. And if this award shows that or highlights that work of our network, then I'm grateful for it. I feel really privileged to have had the opportunity to be part of some really remarkable partnerships with Ogden City, some amazing initiatives with Ogden City in particular. And I just am very grateful. So thank you. I am truly honored, and I appreciate the recognition. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Brenda. It's truly well deserved, and on the committees that I've been able to work with you on, I love your enthusiasm and passion, and always great big smile and excitement for what's going on. So thank you. Okay. Up next, Councilmember Chaburka. We'll turn the time over to you.
Yes, I'm so excited to have the opportunity to give this recognition to Margaret Rose, a great friend of mine. So the Ogden City Council and Mayor proudly recognize Margaret Rose for providing invaluable contributions to the Ogden community. After 6 years of dedicated service as the Executive Director of the YCC Family Crisis Center to the Ogden community, Margaret Rose is retiring, which is sad, but also I'm very happy for her too. In that time, Margaret has made a profound impact on YCC's mission to support individuals and families affected by domestic and sexual violence. During her tenure, the YCC has expanded its services, strengthened its programs, and continued to be a vital resource for the community. Margaret was instrumental in the development of the YCC Family Crisis Center's traditional housing building in Ogden, which opened in August 2024. This facility offers 14 safe and supportive housing units, 6 studio apartments, and 8 flexible units designed to help families and individuals rebuild their lives after experiencing domestic violence. Under her leadership, the YCC was honored as one of the Utah's top 100 companies championing women, reflecting the organization's commitment to fostering equality and empowering women. We're grateful for Margaret's exceptional service and dedication to the YCC Family Crisis Center. Her leadership and passion have made a lasting difference in the lives of countless individuals and families. We wish her the best as she embarks on the next chapter of her life. This is also presented on the 17th day of December, 2024. Congratulations, Margaret.
Congratulations and happy retirement.
Margaret, do you want to bring anyone else up for
A picture? Yes. Well, you have some people sitting out there that support you.
those that support you?
Julie,
Anyone that's out there that
Sarah,
wants to be part of the picture.
Dana,
Come on.
Sarah,
Come on now.
Julie,
Julie.
Yeah.
Julie.
Sarah, get in here.
Yeah, Brandon can do it.
Okay. Over this way.
All right. Yes. Yeah, Margaret, if you don't mind saying a few words.
Well, Mayor and council members, thank you very much. I'm really honored by this. Unlike Brenda, and congratulations to Brenda too. I'm very familiar with their work, and it's amazing. And that partnership has done remarkable things for the community. You know, I'm not an Ogden native. I did not grow up in this community. I'm a Montana transplant who lives in Salt Lake City. And I think the beautiful thing that, well, one, I've grown to love Ogden, but I think the beautiful thing about starting to work in Ogden was just how receptive people were to including me, introducing me, bringing me in, helping me be successful, helping YCC be successful. And I think that truly started with repairing a relationship with the city council and the city administration that had not been going well, and the opportunity to really start working with the city on some really meaningful changes mattered, and it matters to the citizens of the city. And I think that that's a tribute to you all in being open and really, when we throw around the word partnership, oftentimes that is, we'll do the work and somebody else says, yeah, good job, way to go. And I never found that with the city. I always found truly a partnership of a willingness to what can we do to help? What do you need? How are things going? What information, do you have that can inform your policies and your practices? And I've always really appreciated how receptive the city council and the city staff were to working together. And then when we started on the transitional housing project, I needed the city staff and I needed the planning and zoning and I needed, people smarter than I am to really come to the table and work. How do we get funding? How do we work together? How do we make this a real benefit for the city, not just for YCC, not just for our organization, but actually for the city. And so that felt like a true partnership, and it was a true partnership. And I think we've seen the results of that. And the results of that is that we have 14 families in their home for Christmas in a safe space where they haven't had that for a long time. And so that doesn't come by just, one little nonprofit having a vision. That's a number of people coming together with a shared vision. And so thank you for that. And thanks for the support that you provide for YCC, but also just really for all the nonprofits in helping support the most vulnerable people in our community. So thank you.
Margaret, I just want to say thank you as well. I've had the pleasure of knowing you over the last 6 years, and I've always said it's sad that we have to have a facility like the YCC, that it has to exist. And I'm so grateful for those who work in that area to help in those difficult circumstances. And so I know the work that you've done there is so important, and seeing the transition over the last 6 years, that you've definitely taken YCC and left it better than you found it. And I think your fingerprints are in there, and appreciate your dedication and everything with that. So thank you. Okay.
If I could make a quick comment to the Montanan who lives in Salt Lake that works in Ogden. I just want to, I was thinking about a few things today, and things that I've learned from Margaret, and I just want to share with you that growth and comfort cannot coexist with one another. And sometimes I've called you really bad names because of that, but you've really expanded my envelope, and so I appreciate that. Committing to and creating and keeping your values makes those challenges when they come at you so underwhelming that it's easy to overcome, and you just because of your values, and you just persevere. And then this last one, because I'm just going to say you're a better fisher person than I am, but I really think that you espouse this a lot, in that give a man a fish and you feed them for a day, but teach a man to fish and you feed them for a lifetime. And you've really had that effect here, and have created that. And so it's not just you've given somebody their meal, or you've given it to them. You've taught them how to do it. And I think that that's why the YCC will continue, and it will continue to grow, and it's because of your leadership. So thank you.
Councilmember.
No, I always have something to say. Well, I especially just want to say to these two wonderful women, what a fantastic way to end 2024 by celebrating the accomplishments of both of you. And I just hope one day that I can behave like you do and be the leaders like you are, because you're both fantastic.
Thank you. Mayor.
Thanks. So, Councilmember White, did you call Margaret a Montana Grizz? That's a bad word. Okay.
Montanian.
You just mentioned the bad words that you called her. Oh, thank you. Okay, good. That's good because I'm going to say nice things about you. None. It's hard to say to a Grizz fan for me. I told this story today. We had a Christmas holiday celebration with the volunteers at Union Station. And on my way there, I ran into two of our new employees. A couple of our staff were at this thing and they've heard the story, but I was walking through the amphitheater, ran into two brand new employees. I've got a meeting with them tomorrow because I want to know the people I work with. And one grew up here in Ogden, and another grew up, born and raised in Salt Lake, but moved to Kentucky. It's been there for about 25 years. And they were both so happy when they were coming through. And they both said, "Hey, Mayor, we're really looking forward to meeting with you." But they talked about how much they've enjoyed being here in Ogden. And they said, we just feel so lucky that we kind of ran into each other and found each other. And I said, actually, there is no luck. That was made to happen because we in Ogden select for that kind of a person, someone that's really passionate about place and building purpose and making sure that the work that they do every day is aligned with their bigger purpose. And that really resonated with them, like, oh, you're right, that makes sense. And I share that story because I often reflect on my eventual retirement with my wife, and I think about us sitting back and reflecting on the work that we did and the work we did for the people that we served. And I think we're going to feel so fulfilled. And I think the tears that you're feeling right now is a whole mix of emotions, I'm guessing. But I think there's a lot of fulfillment in the tears. And imagine the fulfillment and tears that the people you served must be feeling. Like how many there must be. The impact that those families and women that you've helped and to serve, the impact that they've had on others, it reverberates, it's countless. You cannot measure it. And Brenda, you're going to be there one day too, right? And your reluctant husband's going to join you, and you guys are going to look back on all of it and say, look at the impact that we had. That's what makes us special as a city here. That sense of spirit is unbreakable in Ogden. And we all have our opinions. Sometimes we have our disagreements, but one thing we all agree on is how much we love serving others in this city, and that service to others is a way of life. It is a value that is more than a value. It's our purpose. So thank you for both of you for serving your purpose in this city. Thanks for coming to Utah from Montana and not being a Grizz fan. But I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement. You have earned it and more, and your impact here will be felt forever.
Thank you, Mayor. I just also wanted to recognize President Mortensen slipped in the back there, so thank you for being here. I did want to just offer up, if you wanted to say a word or two, take a minute or something, certainly welcome to. No, you don't have to, but we'd love to invite you up here if you'd like to say something.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, council members. It's so uncharacteristic of me to be late, so I apologize. But words can't express the impact that Brenda has had at Weber State and in our community, and the significance of this recognition, having gone to one Kumu conference with Brenda and to see the respect that she has nationally across this organization, and for her to be recognized with this honor of someone who I know she looks up to as a mentor. It really speaks so much for her and the impact she's had, but also on our community and our university and the partnership that we enjoy together. So I appreciate you taking some minutes out of your meeting tonight to recognize Brenda for her many contributions, and there are many yet to come. But thank you, and thank you always for your partnership with Weber State, and wishing you all very happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, President. All right. You're all welcome to hang out as we go through the rest of our meeting, or you're welcome to excuse yourselves as well.
Oh, dear.
They took me up on it. Yeah. So, okay. Thank you again.
Yeah, they took you up on it.
Okay, up next on the agenda, we have approval of minutes. And so from the joint work session of November 12th, 2024, Councilmember Graff.
Yes, Chair, I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate to the best of my recollection.
And then from the special meeting of November 12th, 2024, Councilmember Chaburka.
Yes, Chair. I've found those minutes to be accurate with just a couple little changes with some spelling. And I motion to approve the minutes.
And I'll second the motion.
We have a motion by Councilmember Chaburka and a second by Councilmember Graff to approve the minutes. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Appears to be unanimous. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have a consent item for a proposed amendment, Sustainability Committee Ordinance, proposed Ordinance 2024-41, amending Section 331.7 of the Ogden Municipal Code to extend the sunset provision for the Sustainability Committee to December 31st, 2026.
Chair, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Chaburka and a second by Vice Chair White to adopt this ordinance. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Vice Chair White.
Aye.
Chair Ritchie.
Aye. Thank you, and that passes.
Chair, if I could just make
Yes.
one real quick comment. They did a great job today in our work session. Might want to check out our work session to see what the Sustainability Committee has been doing. They did a nice little update. So I'm just throwing that up there.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Absolutely.
Chair, one more thing is it's so nice to have it renamed so we can actually say it in one breath.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to take a breath.
That's right.
All right. Okay. Up next, we have a couple of public hearings. And so we'll begin with the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 annual action plan. We'll have two presenters on this. Jeremy Smith, our director in CED, and then also Justin Sorensen, our comptroller, to address the second item under there. Is Jeremy here? There he is. It's like, I thought I saw him back there.
Thank you, Chair Ritchie and council members. Great to be here tonight to talk about our annual action plan amendment number 1 for fiscal year 25. So when we formed the annual action plan earlier this year, we did that based on an estimates. The reason we do an amendment is for two reasons. One is to update the budget, and the second is to do some program changes. So when we first form it, it's based on these estimates. As the numbers become real, we amend it to reflect the actuals. And that's true of both the carryover budget for estimates of actuals, program income from estimates that increased, and allocation of additional funds. We also have a program change with the Own and Ogden program, where the budget changes to, or the goals change to 50 down payment assistance loans to low, moderate income households for this fiscal year. Some of the budget highlights. The original budget was $8,750,793, and the amendment increased it by $674,100 to bring the total of $9,424,893. These are just the highlights of where the changes from. There was an increase in the program income of $1,006,015, and then a decrease in the entitlement carryover, $331,915. And these are the line items that were changed in the amendment. The first is the Own and Ogden program. The original budget was $350,000. The proposed change is $250,000 additional dollars for a new budget of $600,000. The Chodo is $130,719, increased $73,451 for the new budget of $204,170. The Quality Neighborhoods HUD funds, total is $3,800,493 in the original. There's a decrease of $391,324. The new budget is $3,409,169. The help program's original budget was $1,009,037. There was an increase of $561,204. The new budget, $1,570,241. The Home ARP TBRA program, $1,321,078 was the original budget, increased by $27,404 for a new budget of $1,348,482. Administration costs. Budget was $733,248, increased to $157,145. The new budget of $890,393. And then the Business Recovery Fund, original budget was $174,794, decreased by $3,780, and new budget of $171,014. Again, the total increase, $647,100. And along with the changes is Amendment 1, as I mentioned earlier, we are proposing to increase the OGDEN Ogden budget, and that would increase to $600,000 for this fiscal year. That breaks down at $500,000 of home funds and $100,000 of home match funds. And then we would be increasing our goal from 25 to 50 down payment assistance loans for this fiscal year. And just for your reference, OGDEN Ogden thus far in the fiscal year has funded 21 low moderate income home buyers, which have received $10,000, and an additional 2 teachers have received $15,000. $249,105 expended as of today. And then this is the schedule of where we've been and what's left for this annual action plan amendment. The CAC committee met September 5th, 2004 to approve the amendment. We had a city council work session November 12th of this year. The public comment period started just after that and ended on December 13th. No comments were received during this time. And then tonight, we're having the public hearing to adopt the amendment. This would go in effect, if approved, on December 18th. And then this amendment would carry until the end of the fiscal year on June 30th. And that's all I have. Happy to address any questions or anything you have about that.
Any questions for Jeremy?
Jeremy.
I was going to say Justin, but before we bring up Justin, any questions for Jeremy?
I've got a quick question. So it seems like we've gone through quite a bit of that $500,000. So, I mean, when do you anticipate it to be gone? So when it's gone, then we just have to wait till next year, right?
We do, yeah. So that we kind of timed that, and it's actually exactly where we want it to be.
Okay.
So that 247, and we're halfway through the year right now. So we usually it works out about there. There have been years when we've had to cut the program off a couple of months, but we're usually really close. The past 2 years we've been, we're hitting 50 right around the end of the fiscal year. So
great.
All right, thank you, Justin. We'll have you come up and present on the budget amendment.
Thank you, Chair. Jeremy did a great job of already explaining most of these adjustments. So this proposal, along with the annual action plan update, is this ordinance would be to adjust the budget based on the annual action plan amendment. And so the changes are the same as was discussed. There might be slight variations as we round our budget to the nearest 25. And so that may be why each program line might be slightly different than what Jeremy's presentation is, but the total amount is, the total net change is the same as proposed in the action plan. So any questions regarding the budget ordinance to amend the budget?
Vice Chair White?
Yeah, I just have a quick comment, and thank you for putting that extra funding in things like OGDEN Ogden and the home loan program or help loan program, and that it just helps our citizens. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
This is a public hearing on this item, so if you'd like to address the council on this item, you're welcome to step to the podium and state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're online, you can raise your hand. We'll recognize you and same thing, give you 3 minutes to address the council on this item.
Laura Lewis, I just have one question. Where was it publicized that there was an opportunity for public comments on this budget plan? Where was that posted?
Okay.
Can someone tell me that?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right. I'll take a motion to close the public hearing on this item.
So moved.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Myers to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. And Jeremy, do you want to address the question brought up about the timeline? Maybe we can pull the timeline graph or chart back up. But back a slide there. Oh,
there you go. Yeah, so the public comment that started on, December, there it is, 13th. So that is advertised in the Standard Examiner as well as on our website. Those are the two public forums that we advertise those.
okay. Well, so the Standard, and I think also on the state website, isn't there a notice? I'm trying to remember. It's not.
If they take it from other sources, those are the two that we publish it on. I know the state does take some of those. Okay. Publish them further, but those are the ones that HUD requires, and that's where we publish them.
And then in the work session on November 12th, I believe we had talked about that as being part of that, and so it would have been also discussed in work session.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions on this one or comments? If not, we can take a motion on. We can take a motion on both of these together. If somebody wants to make that one. Yeah.
So, Chair, I would make a motion then that we adopt proposed resolution 2024-15 and 2024-35.
The ordinance. Right. One's resolution, one's an ordinance. So.
Oh yeah, the ordinance. Sorry. Yes, correct. Thanks for the correction.
No problem. All right. We have a motion by Councilmember Heyer. We have a second.
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Blair, and this is also a roll call vote to adopt proposed resolution 2024-15 and proposed ordinance 2024-35.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Graff?
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Myers?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair White?
Aye.
Chair Ritchie?
Aye. All right, and that passes. Okay, our second public hearing of the evening, we have fiscal year 2024-25 fee amendments. We have a number of presenters here. We'll first invite our Deputy Police Chief, Tyler Ziegler, to come up and address on the police department fee amendments.
Good evening, Council. So I'm here on behalf of the Police Department tonight to discuss some proposed fee amendments to our current fee schedule for services that we offer. These updates will address or intended to address some outdated fees that are no longer relevant to our services. Perfect. I just want to preface my comments tonight by making it clear that none of the amendments that we are proposing are increasing any of our service fees. If the things that I'm going to talk about are reductions in our fees or eliminations altogether. So the first fee I would like to call your attention to is the crime scene photos. Traditionally, in the past, we have required a payment for the processing of crime scene photos. That is no longer relevant to us today. We deliver those digitally when they are requested, and so we are asking that fee be reduced to zero for crime scene photos. The second fee is driver exchange forms. This is an exchange form that is provided to drivers who are involved in accidents to exchange information amongst each other. You should know that if you are involved in an accident, that you're provided a free copy on the scene of the accident at the time of the investigation. So this fee is only relevant to if you need a duplicate copy of that driver exchange form. I mentioned that we're not increasing any fees. This is something that we apologize. This is something that we have charged for more than 10 years, but we discovered when we were reviewing the fee schedule that it's not listed properly, and so that we're requesting that that's reflected properly into our fee schedule. The third adjustment is the landlord training program. This is a program that we haven't a training that we have not provided at the police department for more than 7 years now. This is not an elimination of the Good Landlord program. This is just a training that we previously provided, but it is still available to those interested in person and online. We just don't provide it. So that was a previous $40 fee. We're asking that that be discontinued and eliminated. The next two items are the towing rotation application and the towing rotation annual renewal fees. Those were previously $200 and $100 respectively. We do not use a towing rotation system anymore, and so those are no longer applicable to our services, and we're asking that they be stricken from our fee schedule. And finally, the photograph for a commercial license long ago in the past was charged at $5.70. We're no longer charging for that individually. That's included with the fees that are paid for your license application. And so we're asking that that be discontinued and stricken from our fee schedule. So that's the summary of what we're proposing. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good, thank you. Up next we have, is Vince here? I'm not on, thank you. Justin is here to present on the Public Service Department utilities, and then we'll have Monty, welcome to get right up close here, to address on the cemetery.
Yes, thank you. Chair Ritchie, members of the council, we're here to discuss the public services fee structure changes that are being proposed. The first one that we'll discuss is our golf division fee structure. A couple changes that we have here is the El Monte rate. If you get out early, we've always had a discounted rate for the wind that blows in the morning at El Monte. Todd Brinkman, our golf pro, is looking to change that current discounted rate from $11 to $13. The next couple have to do with our golf cart fleet. We're looking to increase the cost to have a golf cart per 9 holes by $1. So you can see a golf cart rental of 9 holes will increase $1. A golf cart rental of 18 holes will increase by $2. The next item is the range ball buckets, the balls. For the large one, we're going to look to increase that $1 per large bucket. Now, the 20 punch hole pass, which also includes golf cart, that is getting increased $20 really for the dollar to increase for each round, each 9 hole round for a golf cart. Then we also have our Monday through Thursday specials that we have for regular and seniors. These have always had a discounted golf cart rate, so we're looking to eliminate that discounted rate and also add on the additional $1 per 9 holes for a cart. So those will increase by $4. And the final one is when we have a setup or a usage at our pavilion for a non-golf course related request, we're going to look to have a $50 proposed charge setup fee for setting up tables, chairs, and also the linen service. So any questions with the golf course? Okay, I'll quickly cover the public works fee structure. Just a couple items here. One is the first one, we really had a request to offer an additional recycling cart. In our current structure, we didn't have a way of just doing a recycling cart. So what this does is allows us to just offer an additional recycling cart. If you want one additional one, it will be $25.53. If you want more than one, we can discount that to $22.27. And then the other item is at our green waste. Was as we do construction and milling and road work during the summer, we use tailings that we ground up asphalt. We, as Public Works, use those, but we also have a stockpile of them as well. And we've had requests from citizens to be able to sell those. So we have some additional tailings up there that we will sell for $5 per yard on a first come, first served basis. Any questions with Public Works fees? Okay, I'll turn the time over to Monty to cover the cemetery.
Good evening, Chair Ritchie, council members. Thank you for hearing us tonight. To go over some of the proposed fees for the cemetery fee structure. As you can see, we currently grave spaces for our residents are sold at $600. We're proposing a $200 increase to $800. I guess I should say, just to quickly recap, it's been since 2019 that we did fee increases with the cemetery. So we look every 3 to 5 years to do those, and we've gone out with a market study and looked at cemeteries from municipal cemeteries from Logan to St. George, really. But then when we look at the averages, we really look at just northern Utah, Logan, Brigham City, Bountiful, and Kaysville, and then compare ourselves to those, and then that's where we've come up with these. So grave spaces for non-residents, increase of $750. With the market study, we really did find that our non-resident fees, we were quite low. And so for that reason, you see a little more when you look at the non-resident fees. Interment residents, $250, proposed change, non-resident, $500. Baby or urn, I know there were some questions on this, but the urn is for a cremation burial, and the work that goes into burying a baby or an urn, it's roughly the same, and that's why those are together in the same amount. Resident increase of $75 for non-resident, $150. Child resident, an increase of $200. Non-resident, $400. And then our overtime fees for Saturdays, we do quite a few burials on Saturdays, an increase of $250. So I know there was a previous question when somebody is buried on a Saturday or after hours on a weekday, there would be the normal cost plus the additional overtime fees. And then disinterment, adult to outside, to clarify that's when family requests that the remains of their loved one are moved from our cemetery to another cemetery. And so the proposed increase is $500 for that. And then an adult inside is when somebody family member requests that their loved one's remains are disinterred from our cemetery and placed in another grave space within our cemetery. So that increase is $750. Child or baby to the outside, increase of $400. Child or baby to the inside is an increase of $350. Monument inspections, we haven't had a current fee for a flat marker. We're proposing $50 there. And then for a bevel, an increase of $50, and upright markers, an increase of $25. So,
any questions for Monty?
Yeah.
Just a comment.
Just a comment from our subject matter area.
Yes.
Subject matter expert.
Because of my professional interest and following this, I just want to commend Monty and his team for the outstanding work they've done. This is long overdue, honestly, and this brings our costs kind of current to what other what other cemeteries are doing, as Monty's already explained. But I think it's timely. I think it's prudent. But more so than anything, just thanks to Ogden City and your leadership, Monty, with the city and parks and everything else that you're doing there, the recreation that you take care of. It's outstanding work, and this just illustrates that. And we just want to say thanks. And I don't have any question. I completely concur with Monty's assessments here. I think they're prudent, especially given the fact that Ogden City Cemetery is a municipal cemetery, and it's funded by some of our tax dollars in the care of the cemetery. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing on these 4 fee amendment items. If you'd like to address the council on these 4, please step to the podium and state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're online, you can go ahead and raise your hand. Welcome.
Laura Lewis. I missed the meeting on the asphalt tailings, and I just wanted to know, I don't know if you can address it now. Has anybody done any kind of a study as far as studying the leaching and the environmental impact of storing those over at the green waste, and then the public being able to randomly deposit those anywhere? I know they're a low risk, but I do know they have a couple of toxic, one toxic metal and another toxic chemical in them. So anyway, I just wanted to know if anybody had looked into that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, not seeing any other comments. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Graff to close the public hearing on this item. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes. And so, Justin, I think you're probably the most qualified to answer that question that we have regarding the leachings. I do know that they're stored sort of away from the others, but when you come into the green waste dump, you turn to the right and go up the hill.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So they are stored in a little separate area. We actually store a lot of these down in our public works yard because we do use these to help fill in potholes and do other things. We blend them at times with our road base as we also do work. And so there's no threat any greater than what it would be having roads and using roads and everything else. There's no any greater toxins than what is already done when they lay asphalt. So as far as that goes, in my opinion. So
as far as residents obtaining those and putting that, there's no concern about putting them anywhere in their yard, or is there any, I think that might be part of that question.
No, I mean, I don't think they would be great to mix to do flower beds or to put to grass on, but if you're looking to maybe, if you have a pothole or you have something you want to fill in, this is great material to drive on.
Okay. All right.
How about putting them in an area that you're trying to keep the weeds out of, that you would drive on, I guess, a little lane that you might have on your property or whatever.
Yeah, they'll pack down tight and work really good for that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from the council on any other fee amendments? And if not, Jason, do you want us to take these one at a time? Is that okay? If we can, how does the council feel? Do we want to take these all together, or do we want to look at these individually?
Let's lump them together.
Okay, if that's okay, Jason, we'll give you time to hit all of those. So we'll take a motion to, and then go ahead with a motion.
Chair, I'd make a motion then that we adopt proposed ordinance 2024-37, as well as proposed ordinance 2024-38. including proposed ordinance 2024-39, as well as 2024-40. I move that we adopt those ordinance with fee amendments.
Second.
Okay. All right. We've got a motion by Councilmember Heyer to adopt the 4 proposed ordinances as listed, and a second by Councilmember Myers. And this is a roll call vote. Remember, you're voting for all 4.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Vice Chair White.
Aye.
Chair Ritchie.
Aye. Okay. Thank you. Those all pass. Give us 1 second here while we maybe record those actions. All right. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Jason. Up next, we have our final public hearing. After this, there will be a public comment period. But this is the last public hearing on the 2024-2025 budget amendment related to ARPA funds. Welcome back, Justin.
Thank you, Chair.
Busy night for you.
Yes. Thank you for having me here to address you on this item. So a little history with this amendment for you tonight. The American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, was passed in 2021 by the federal government. And it's based on the amounts were given out based on population. It can be used for a variety of purposes. Up to 10 million of the amount that was awarded to Ogden City can be used for general government expenditures. And then the big items with these funds is they have to be obligated by December 31st of 2024 and spent by December 31st of 2026. So with that information, we are coming before you tonight with some proposals to make sure that we meet those obligations as far as the December 31st, 2024 date especially. When these funds were originally appropriated, we received just over 25 million. And in working with administration and city council, we originally appropriated the following amounts: $1.5 million to use towards public safety radio replacement. There was a switchover with the radios that were needed, and so that was a big lift. And then these funds were helpful for that. We funded $1.3 million for community grants for a few business groups in our area. We also funded $300,000 for community cleanup, $1.4 million that went towards the Marshall White construction, $12 million for the Canyon Water Line, $70,000 for the 4th Street netting, and then the rest of those funds, the $9 million, was going to go towards just general government expenditures. There were some items that were first identified by administration, but with discussions with council, we wanted to bring that back to you as far as how we're going to spend those funds. So the current status of each of those items, the public safety radio replacement, there is approximately $152,000 still remaining that weren't spent, that will not be spent by the end of the year. The community grants has been fully expended. We've given out those funds. The community cleanup is fully encumbered or spent. They're in the process of spending those funds right now, but they are fully encumbered, so we do meet the December 31st for that. The Marshall White, with the construction of the center, we have applied the portion that we attributed to ARPA. We've already used those funds, the $1.4 million. The Canyon Water Line recently has been fully encumbered. That contract has been executed, so that is encumbered now. The 4th Street netting, with 4th Street, there were some discussions on the whole property, and so they hadn't gone out to bid yet on the netting, and by the time that we got to do that, the timing wouldn't allow us to have that encumbrance in place by the end of the year. And then also the bids that were coming back were going to be less than 70,000. And so this budget action will propose how we'll handle those. And then again, this budget opening also is to help address the general government expenditures. So the budget action before you tonight is, as far as the $9 million for governmental expenditures, we had used, we'd already applied a few of those to some expenses last year. And so because of doing that, we wanted to make sure we had the full amount for council to be able to appropriate. And so that was a savings in the general fund. And so part of this budget opening is to use, in essence, unused fund balance or prior year fund balance from savings from using ARPA money last year that we'd like to transfer to the CIP fund. The other portions of this is we can use the governmental expenditures for wages, for public safety wages. And so what the proposal is with this budget action would be to apply fire and police wages to the ARPA funds. By doing this, it would free up funds in the general fund. And so with doing that, we would propose to move the dollar amounts that we would be using for wages on ARPA and proposing to reduce those wage accounts in the general fund since they will not be used because we're going to apply them against ARPA. So that amount is for police, we're going to move over $6 million or is going to be used out of ARPA funds and $2.9 million for fire. So with that savings, we're proposing that those amounts be transferred out of the general fund, and we have a proposal for you to move those to the CIP fund for some uses. And then also with the 4th Street net and the radio replacement with those extra, or with the, first of all, with the 4th Street net, because we will not have encumbered those funds by the end of the year, we can use up to $10 million for governmental expenditures. And so we'd like to use wages for that to cover that $70,000. And with that savings, we're proposing to move that to the CIP fund to still be able to use for the 4th Street net. But that way it doesn't put us under the requirement of needing to have that encumbered by the end of the year. And then the $152,000 that was left from the radio replacement, same thing, we would like to apply that towards wages, which will create savings in the general fund, but we would like to still make sure those are set aside for any future expenses related to the radio replacement, batteries, those things, types of things. So the net increase to the general fund is an increase of $202,000, and that's mainly because we are decreasing wage accounts and increasing the transfer out of the general fund, so those net to zero in the general fund. And then in the grants fund, so this is the effect in the grants fund, we would like to appropriate the use of fund balance for the net, for the radio replacement, and then the governmental operations. And then that will be then used, moving just the budgetary actions to move around items so that we can then use them in wage accounts. And so the net increase in the miscellaneous grants is just over $9 million. This will allow us to be able to spend down the rest of the ARPA funds related to the governmental expenditure piece of those funds. And then the last portion of this, usually I go in order based on how our accounting numbers are in there, but for this purpose, I wanted to move this part to the end because I know there was some discussion last week. But in the original proposal for council was to take that transfer out of the general fund from the cost savings for the wages for public safety. And the original appropriation was to move those funds into the CIP, use $2.5 million towards Union Station as for part of that, for the campus and everything going on there. We want to use that as seed money. We also had proposed $5 million that would be used for the purchase of the Kiesel building, the jail next door. And with that $5 million, a couple lines down, we are proposing to put $1,042,000 into Lester Park. We know that there's a need there and a project there that we're working on that it's being worked on. We have a lot of different sources. We're going out for some ramp to help with some of the improvements there, but then also additional funds. So adding that $1 million. But anything related to the jail, if council decides to appropriate that $5 million, anything not used towards the jail or the demolition or any improvements to the area, any excess administration would bring back to council and propose to move that excess also to Lester Park. Those exact costs aren't known at this time, but that would be the commitment from administration. We also were proposing $500,000 that would go into one of our CIPs that would be used for an all abilities park that's in development. And then the $70,000, this is related to what was already been identified. We put that into our general recreation CIP to still be used for the net. If they end up not using it, it'll allow some flexibility for our recreation group to be able to use it. They've talked about if there's any additional things with Marshall White that might be needed in that area. So the total increase to the CIP fund would be $9,112,825. And then in the fleet and facilities, this would be to recognize the $152,000 excess that we have from the radio replacement, putting it into that fund to be held there for future equipment replacement, for battery replacement and things like that. So the total appropriation before you is $18,530,850. but after a meeting last week, I know there was some discussion on a second option, and so I did prepare a slide for that. So there is, it's the same ordinance, but there are two options as far as the schedules that can be considered. The first option is the one that we just reviewed with the CIP fund. The second option would be, and this is after what was provided from feedback from you all, would be to take the amounts that were originally proposed for the Union Station, the building, and the All Abilities Park, and as of right now, putting them into one account, totaling $8 million that would be allocated for a future project. If you elect to do that and adopt this schedule, an additional budget opening would be needed to appropriate those funds to be used once the actual use is identified. So the total amount of the budget opening remains the same, but those are two different options that you can consider tonight. So in summary, so I just wanted to let you all know, so with this appropriation, what it will allow us to do with our ARPA funds is this is how the spending will be. 1.3 million for the radios, 1.3 million for the community grants, 300,000 for the community cleanup, 1.4 million for the Marshall White Center construction, the 12 million for the water line, and then a little bit more than what originally for the governmental operations, which we're all putting towards wages, so the 9.2 million. So that totals the 25 million that we were awarded with the ARPA. So our proposal is to consider that ordinance 2024-36. Is there any questions for me?
Just a quick question. If we put it into that 8 million into that, what is non-departmental?
So it'll be under an account that's assigned to City Council.
So that as we use it, you will have to come back and get.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Correct. Yes. Yes. Once the use is determined, budget action will be needed.
Okay. Any other questions? Initial questions? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is also a public hearing, so if you'd like to address the council on this item, please step to the podium and state your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes. If you're online, go ahead and raise your hand.
Laura Lewis. If I understand what was just brought up, you had extra money due to the fact that you couldn't get the nets at 4th Street, and you've allocated that or allotted that to other areas, and I didn't see any of that money going to the Canyon water line, which at this point the Ogden citizens or water users are paying for. Why couldn't some of that money been put into that project to reduce the burden on the residents?
Thank you, Laura. Okay, any other comments? We have a hand online.
Hi there, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. I just wanted to point out that when a number of years ago, the Marshall White Center was being discussed, and there was a question asked of our former CAO that to use ARPA funds for the Marshall White Center as part of the funding, and that person was told very soundly no, that they could not be used for that, despite other places had done similar things. I'm really glad the previous administration came around and actually looked at that instead of just assuming that person didn't know what they were talking about. Saved taxpayers up to $5.4 million. So that's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, not seeing any other movement. We have a motion.
Chair, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Chiburka to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous. Laura, just to clarify on that, so out of the ARPA funds, the 25 million, there was 12 million that was used to go towards the Canyon water line. So about half.
But there was extra funds.
So there was that extra 21,000, which was being, yeah. So that's going. So the funds that are unspent or unused, or they're all dedicated for government operations and everything. But those monies there's a 8 million that's now in future projects that could potentially be considered for that, among other things. So I don't know if anyone else wants to comment on that, or if there's any other. Yeah. So. But yeah, I think that's the ultimate result of this. So we have an ordinance as presented with the allocation of the funds into those specific uses, and we have an alternate schedule which puts those funds into an allocation for future projects. And so we can take a motion on those if we'd like, or unless there's further discussion.
I'd be happy to make that motion, but
I
it
was
looks
just
like we
gonna-
got some talking
Yeah,
going on
no, I was
there,
just going
so-
to comment too on what Laura said. And we did have this conversation a while ago when we were talking about this. And one of the things that we have to weigh out is the interest rate on bonding versus and ongoing money and the things that we're getting from the state versus things that we can do to build as an asset. And so I think we were trying to weigh that out and use some of those funds as well. So not completely depleting the ARPA funding and using it to actually build an asset or build other assets in the city. So I think it was just kind of a weighing out of that. So that's the best. I'm kind of looking for Lisa or somebody, maybe Justin, to say that that's kind of what we did, I think, about a year ago when we were discussing it. So,
Mayor, if you'd like to comment.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like,
Yeah, no,
it's not 9 yet,
but it does feel like 5 years ago sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah, that was the mindset. It was also a matter of leveraging opportunities with low and no interest rate bond opportunities for the water line versus what would be much higher interest rates for traditional projects for the city. And we also talked about making sure that generations are equally sharing appropriately across the costs for the service and the use, that being a long-term 100-year infrastructure, 50-year loan, et cetera. If we put all of that burden on today's generation, it would be unfair. So we had a lot of conversations about that.
Yeah.
But thank you for bringing that up. Thank you.
Very astute.
Yep. Okay.
Chair, I'd make a motion then that we adopt the proposed fiscal year 2024-2025 budget amendment for the ARPA funds with alternate Schedule B, which is proposed ordinance 2024-36.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Heyer and a second by Councilmember Graff to adopt proposed ordinance 2024-36 with the alternate Schedule B. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Vice Chair White.
Aye.
Chair Ritchie.
Aye. Thank you, and that passes. Okay. All right, thanks for bearing with us through all of that. So if you're here to address the council on any concerns or any ideas on any topic, we're now at the public comment period. So we invite you to come to the podium, address the council by stating your name and limiting your comments to 3 minutes. And if you're online, go ahead and raise your hand. *6 or *9, one of those will get you raised to hand. *9 gets your hands raised. And all right. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. My name is Marie Russell Hogue. I've lived at 1164 20th Street for over 60 years. It's a great neighborhood. Really, really fine. Last year, well, this year, I guess, early, We went to a meeting down at the Ogden School Board, and the Ogden City presented a presentation about what the road was going to be and how we'd be affected. It's nice to hear them say that, but until you've experienced, it's a whole different thing. The one thing they sold us on is going to be a nice, wider road. We wouldn't be digging it up every week. We thought that was great. So with that, we watched them start the presentation. I have pictures of all parts of it, from the time they scooped up the asphalt to when they laid the asphalt again. Whenever we needed for a special occasion or something, we all parked cars down around Brinker. There were a lot of cars on Brinker for a while. When the special projects occurred, we always had a note stuck to our door that said, the power will be off this day. The water will be off this day. The cement is coming in this day. And there was always a note on the door. So we'd read it, we'd know what was happening, and that was fine. Then, without notice, about 2 weeks before the road was supposed to open, we had it striped differently than it was. It worked great. And then we had red all over our curbs. We couldn't park in front of our house. We were going to go down around the corner. If we had a barbecue, that's where we friend. One of my state presidency came to see me earlier this week. He parked down the street and came up. He laughed about it. He said, "You guys are very special." I didn't think so. Well, after it opened, we found the striping, the red gutters, and I thought, why? We got a wider road. Why are we getting pinned in here? So there was no notice on the door, nothing. We knew nothing about it. We want to sit down and talk with the people, because they ask this department, and they say, well, that department says that one, and that one goes back to this one, and we never get an answer. So we just want an answer. If you drive down Harrison Boulevard, look east, look west, you will never find another street that has 12 houses with red parked in front of it. We just need to have that straightened up. We still have cement work doing there. You have to come see the rocks. The rocks are just something. But come see us. Work on it. Let us know what we can do. And thank you. Really appreciate it. Hope you have a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Thank you, Marie. We have a hand online. Let's go ahead and Heath, when you're ready there.
Hi there, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. My comments tonight are about this afternoon's work session, particularly the discussion of the 24th Street townhomes that were built by Jay Fisher under the name Henry Walker Homes. The agreement to provide the developer with about $1.8 million in land and infrastructure, guaranteeing them an 11% profit at least. At the time, it passed by a narrow, unusually contentious vote of 4-3 last year in April. Council members Blair, Heyer, White, and Ritchie voted yes. Council member Chaburka, former council member Lopez, and now Mayor Nadolski opposed it, arguing the deal was too favorable to the developer. I shared their concerns then, and today we learned that the units have been selling above the prices the developer had presented in the city. At least that's what I thought I heard in the work session. My question is this: was there any provision in the contract for profit sharing with the city if the developer's profits exceeded the projections? I don't remember seeing that in the original contract. I'd like to request that the city prepare a publicly available report detailing the final profit margin for those townhomes and how much, if any, value would be returned to the city. This information is essential for crafting future contracts where Ogden assumes significant upfront risk to ensure developer profits, especially for these higher-end housing projects. We've seen similar challenges with the Wonder Block, where the city had to recently renegotiate contracts the Brown Ice Cream Building agreement, where we now have to essentially beg the developer to meet the terms of the original agreement. I'd like to see us make an effort to examine these patterns and adjust our approach to ensure that Ogden residents get the best possible outcomes from these public-private deals. And as a PS, according to the meeting minutes of April 11th, 2023, at the time the 24th Street project was approved, then Council Member Nadolski stated that there are too many opportunities for the administration to sidestep the process as it is written, and he felt that it could be tightened and improved. I agree then, and I still agree today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Laura Lewis, I have a couple kind of random comments. I went to the 24th Street exit meeting, and I was expecting to see what the plans were, how to handle that traffic coming off that 5 lanes going down to 1 over the viaduct, 1 or 2 lanes in 1 each direction. And that isn't at all what I found there. It was more about development in West Ogden. So what are the plans? Maybe the people aren't here today to answer that, but I would like an answer on how we are going to manage that traffic, because it's already a bottleneck, and that's a major entrance, and I assume you have plans for further development to make it a primary entrance into central Ogden. Who's going to be doing that? And then also, I saw that we have a roundabout in the middle of West Ogden going nowhere. It's actually taking out 4 homes, or at least encroaching significantly on their property. It goes nowhere. So why are we spending money on that? Is there some plan in the future that that's going to be part of? It would be nice to have that explained. And then the other thing that came up, but parking came up, and that's a sore subject, brought up an issue. Are we going to be forced to pay for parking to come to these meetings, or will there be some kind of an adjustment for that? Because it doesn't seem like, as citizens, we should have to pay to attend these meetings. Then my last question is concerning the wildlife rehab relocation and the urgency to dispose of that property. We were told that they had to get out of there right away because there was something big coming. What's happened? Where is it? I would like an answer to that question, because they were pushed out of there and the city did help, but it just seems like that went nowhere. What happened? Where's the plans? That's it. Thanks.
Thank you. We have another hand online. Let's go ahead to Teresa.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for taking my call. This is Teresa Bramwell. I want to wish everybody a happy holidays. And my comments today are about the homeless shelter on 23rd and Madison. Because I learned some information in the last meeting when we had everybody from the state of Utah and Weber County that makes money on homeless people that was commenting in the meeting. And what I learned is that the wool was pulled over my eyes for the past several years when I personally contacted almost every one of those people when my property on 25th and Monroe was being burglarized and I was being a crime victim nearly every single day. And I chased these criminals to certain apartment locations neighboring my property. And so I had an idea of where the criminals were coming from. And what I attempted to do while I was being a crime victim was find out why these people were in my neighborhood and who was responsible for putting them there. So I went to Weber County Housing Authority, and I asked them if they were housing any people in my neighborhood. And they claimed that they weren't. They said, we maybe have a handful, maybe 5 people that we're housing in your neighborhood, but our people are not any of the people that are making you a crime victim. So they pushed it off and said they weren't responsible for any of the crime that was going on in my neighborhood. I went to Mr. Niederhauser. I scheduled an appointment with him months in advance and went into his office and spoke with him about all of the crime that, I suspected was coming from homeless people or people that didn't have transportation or didn't have, a particular home or were, leeching off of other people that were being housed by the government in the apartments around me. And he seemed to be completely baffled as to why there could possibly be any crime happening in my neighborhood. At no point when I went to all of these people trying to discover why there was suddenly all this crime in my neighborhood, at no point did any of them tell me that these homeless people were being housed in my neighborhood. But what I discovered in this meeting last week is that, yes, these homeless people are being housed in my neighborhood. Weber County now wants to put more homeless people into my neighborhood after they claimed they didn't have any. So is this going to add to the crime problem, this homeless shelter? Is it going to bring more homeless people into my neighborhood after all of these people that were in your meeting last week didn't claim any responsibility for me being a crime victim every single day? I have spent a lot of my time trying to discover why all of a sudden, in the last
Teresa.
5 to 6 years. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. All right. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your questions. And we'll try and kind of go through these and any support from the other council members or administration on this. I'll start with the homeless shelter. We have the permanent supportive housing for the Weber Housing Authority project. We have a work session on January 7th. We hope to get more information, additional questions brought forward by the council to try and understand that. It is a complex issue. And so we're hoping to find that out and then potentially action, I think, scheduled on the 14th of January. So, those are excellent questions. As far as how that all relates, Teresa, I'm not sure. So the Wildlife Rehab Center, I did talk to the board chair about that after our last meeting, and I think the building came down, the demolition, within about 2 weeks of when they moved out, which was when they were trying. That was one of the hurries is to try and keep their contracts and everything. As of now, building walls are starting to go up on the hatchery. They've already started construction. There were some delays and some things going on there, but if you drive by, you'll see that construction is happening on site with the hatchery that we've all heard about. As far as paid parking paying to park here, I think that's still being worked out. I don't think right now if there's after-hour parking for free or municipal block or within this area. I don't know if the mayor, if you have any additional comments, or maybe in a second we'll see if there's anything there. But the ins and outs of that parking rollout and how that all works is still kind of being finalized. We know that paid parking is coming. How it affects this type of a meeting, that's something that's a good question that we'll hopefully have an answer to sooner than later. I'm not familiar with the roundabout in West Ogden.
I can speak just a little bit to this, but I don't know if anybody else from the administration would like to. But I did attend that meeting as well, and to be honest, I wasn't aware of the original meetings that they post. At that meeting they posted when UDOT had public meetings, etc. And I actually wasn't even aware of when those were happening. So that's number one. It's a UDOT project. And my understanding is that meeting that we were all at was a chance for residents and people to give feedback on the potential design. So whatever feedback went to that group, then they'll take into consideration and bring back. And I can't remember, and I can't find it in my notes, but there is a second meeting in January that I believe will be hosted at the Catholic Community Services building. And so that'll be another time for more community feedback on all of those changes. Because I think other residents that actually live in that area mentioned that they didn't, weren't supportive necessarily of that roundabout too. But I think the conversation's ongoing about those plans. And to my awareness, we only have so much control as the city in planning it because it's also a UDOT project.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Nothing's finalized. We're still working through all those things. And then as far as the traffic flow, I know that we've applied for and received some WACOG funds to help with some of those issues. I don't know if that's something we want to talk about right now, or if there's, but yeah, there's going to be a lot of shifting and changes out in that area. I don't know that we heard a home sale price for the 24th Street. I know there was one mentioned regarding another home.
505. Somebody.
So
that was a different.
It was a different development. So I don't know that we heard the home sale price for the townhomes. So maybe that's something we can look into as well.
It's 481. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
They said 481.
The average was 480.
And then we had an update from Mara in our work session about the 20th Street, and just working with the engineers to work through some ideas on how we can alleviate that. Still no final decisions on that, but it's something that they're reviewing and discussing and seeing if changing the bike lanes or other things that can be done to affect that. So.
I found the date, January 30th. Sorry,
January 30th.
Where I kept the notes, yeah.
Okay. Any other comments from council members on anything I may have left out or didn't address? Or Mayor, would you like to comment on anything there?
Yeah, I'll pick up where you left off on the January 30th. So also, just for a reminder, the 24th Street Interchange project has been many, many, many years in the making. There was a time that an alternate and not complete design was approved by UDOT, and they were proceeding with that design. And so some of the meeting that I'm guessing they mentioned in that last meeting you were at might have happened quite a long time ago. And then there was a big kind of break in between because UDOT went back to the drawing board and decided that the design that they had selected wasn't complete enough, or if they're going to make that big of an investment, that they should not stop short and make sure it is the best possible design and solution. And so the current outreach they're doing, the engineering group calls it a SPUI. It stands for Single Point User Interface, which is a fancy way of saying that it's going to be a full interchange both directions that's going to have the most efficient inbound and outbound and east, west, north, south, the kind of interchange that Ogden really needed when it was first put in, when I-15 first came through. And so there has been a little bit of a reset on some of the public outreach and environmental review that's related to the new footprint and et cetera, et cetera. And so questions around roundabout and stuff, that's all part of the proposed design concepts, and the outreach that's taking place is designed to get input from the community regarding the impacts of those pieces. So, but the UDOT is a giant organization and they're proposing a really huge project, a generational project. So that's why it does take quite some time and costs quite a bit, and the public outreach process is quite in-depth. I'm told that the $481,000 that you mentioned is the average sale price for those homes on 24th Street. Yes, the Dino Park is under construction. The unanticipated delays, so bigger picture delay. If anybody has ever done any building anywhere in Utah, you would know that there's a shortage of transformers. Rocky Mountain Power provides transformers for development projects. There's federal law that doesn't allow transformers to be built with any parts that would come from China. That means that the supply of transformers is very, very, very limited, and it takes sometimes up to 2 years to get one. And the transformer in that project area during demolition was damaged. That was a significant delay that was unanticipated and unfortunate, and it created a really unfortunate delay in the project implementation. In addition, they lost their executive director shortly after that demolition, hired a new one, which took some time, lost that one, and are in the process of hiring a new one. So when there's not staff in place to do the work of a project execution like that, it does also create delays. So it has been really unfortunate given all the things we had to go through with each other to go through to get that site prepared. But in spite of all those delays, we do have a project in the hatchery as proposed, et cetera, going up as we speak. And I also hope that one day we'll leverage our ARPA funds again and multiply them many times over with private donations led by Dino Park and their staff and their philanthropic partners so that we can build a really world-class all abilities playground with the seed money you guys considered tonight. So thank you for that. Did I miss anything that cover everything?
I think that's. Was there the roundabout in West Ogden? Is there? I hadn't been. I don't know that I was aware of that. Is that related to the 24th
Yeah.
Street?
I think so.
It was part of the whole design that they shared with us at that meeting that people could give feedback
Okay.
on. So I don't think it's finalized in any way. It
So
was
it's
just
not
for
actually
feedback.
construction happening on that one then. Okay. All right. So.
And then the other question that was asked was regarding 24th Street and 2 lanes carrying traffic in from an interchange. Are there 24th Street plans?
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, and that is under review and in consideration as well. Both related to the interchange project, but also related to the grant that you mentioned from Wasatch Front. Thanks to our partners and friends at Wasatch Front Regional Council for supporting us being able to look into that. That would be an additional expense on top of the 24th Street interchange, but an important investment for the future of Ogden as well. If that covers all the public comment, I had something I wanted to share.
I was going to say, and I think that covers the public comment. If there's anything else, so do you have any additional comments then?
I just wanted to say, without oversharing too much, I want to recognize some of our employees that are hurting today, and some families in our city that are hurting today. Our police department lost a dear friend, and it was a real tragic loss. And I just want to say for them that police are always under a microscope, and the microscope that I put them under is showing me the strength and resolve of their character under incredibly difficult times. Responding to tragedy and to pressures, all while dealing with their own emotions and tragedy. It's really amazing to see the professionalism that they continue to carry in spite of the hurt that they also carry. And I just want to say that if there's anybody out there in our city that needs help, that needs to talk to somebody who would ever think of harming themselves, so please reach out to somebody, anyone, before they do it. Our police department's going through a lot, and they are continuing to do a lot and be everything we need them to be. So I also wanted to say that neighboring departments also recognized it, and without being asked, they show up for our officers. They volunteer to fill shifts where we might be short while certain officers are grieving, and they also show up with peer support, and so did our fire department. So it's hard to watch them go through it, but it's also really heartening to see them go through it together and to see their support network lean in for them when most often they're our support network leaning in for us. So I just wanted to say that we're really lucky to have OPD. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from council members? Okay. I will, I have a comment.
Just Merry Christmas.
Oh, Merry Christmas. Yeah, thank you. I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Hogue in the audience here. He's a great Ben Lomond High School teacher, familiar with the Ritchie kids, probably a little too much maybe. But he and I have sat in booths during track meets and shared many hours together. But thank you for being here tonight. It's in a night where we've recognized some good people, some recognition coming your way there. So thanks for being here. And also just want to say thank you to the council. This is our last meeting for 2024, and for all those who come to our meetings and listen online and attend the work sessions and these meetings to see how the sausage is made. You see, none of us are perfect, and we're all working our best to try and listen to all the voices and understand all the complex nature of all the questions and concerns and challenges, and still try and make a decision that we feel like is best for the community. And so thank you for everyone for being here, and for especially my council member colleagues and I know the hard work and dedication that they all have and put into their jobs to read and study up and ask the hard questions and all of that. And so we want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Hopefully you get some time to be with your family, and if you have people you can be with. And next time you'll see us, I guess, will be in the new year. Oh, Councilmember Chaburka?
Councilmember Blair just reminded me, and I should have remembered this from before, but actually we're helping to co-host the Christmas dinner and event at the Union Station this Saturday, the 21st, from 11 to 2, and that's also co-sponsored by Project Success, I believe, and I'm not sure what other organizations, but you can come and have dinner, or you can also volunteer. So highly recommend that. So it's a really great event.
That's great. So if you don't have any place to be, that's a great place to go. And be aware, like as the mayor indicated, be aware of those around you, and reach out and share your Christmas cheer with them. And hopefully we can all have a good end of the year and a prosperous 2025. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Motion by Councilmember Heyer and second by Councilmember Chaburka to adjourn. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you for being here tonight.